Will we have a Bitcoin strategic reserve, or has Donald Trump been smoking the wacky tobacco? During his campaign, Trump floated the idea of establishing a Bitcoin strategic reserve where the federal government would amass Bitcoin like they amass oil and gold. So will it happen, and what is it? So the federal government currently stockpiles all kinds of resources. Most are useful things we might need during a war, like oil or medicines. The biggest is the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, which holds 350 million barrels of oil, so the ambulances can run even if we're embargoed or Houston is nuked because Joe Biden's handlers started World War III again. The other kind of reserve is not about war, it's a backup to paper money. The biggest is the 261 million ounces of pure gold owned by the Department of Treasury, which is currently worth $700 billion. This is effectively an insurance policy in case they screw the hyperinflation pooch. And that's where Bitcoin Reserve comes in. It too would act as an insurance policy, this time for digital gold, with a few added benefits. So first, while gold prices go up, more accurately the US dollar goes down, Bitcoin prices happen to go up a lot. For the past 10 years, gold prices have gone up about 8% per year. Bitcoin went up about 73% per year. So if we had, say, 100 billion in Bitcoin growing at 73% a year on top of 700 billion in gold growing at 8%, you can actually start thinking about a backed dollar. The other benefit, of course, is a clear signal that the federal government is not going to try to stop Americans from using Bitcoin. This matters because Bitcoin basically is gold for anybody under the age of 50, because it's immune from government, because it's hard to pay the phone bill with gold coins. So concretely, how would it work? In July, Senator Cynthia Lummis proposed the Bitcoin Act of 2024, which would direct Treasury to buy 1 million Bitcoins over a 5-year period. It's about 5% of all Bitcoins in existence. Presumably, you'd also toss in the 7 billion of seized Bitcoins the feds are hodling. Like today's gold reserves, the Bitcoin would be owned by the Department of Treasury with decentralized cold storage. In other words, it wouldn't be connected to the internet. It would have to be held for 20 years before the crack addicts in Congress can touch it, with the intention of ultimately paying off a hunk of the national debt, potentially trillions. Instead of deficits, Lummis proposes buying it mainly using Federal Reserve remittances. In other words, the money the Fed pays Treasury for the privilege of counterfeiting. Of course, this is challenging in the short run since the Fed lost $200 billion under Jerome Powell, so there are no remittances for a while. Still, eventually the Fed will be back in black since printing money is fantastically profitable. So what's next? Brought to you by Unchained.com. It's been a wild ride watching Bitcoin go from fringe gold bug obsession to potentially being stockpiled by the most powerful country in the world. At worst, we pay down a couple trillion in debt. At best, we take a big step to actually backing the dollar, to ending the long nightmare of paper money, the wars, lockdowns, the boom-bust inflation, and recessions it leaves in its wake. Got an interview upcoming about all this with economist Tur Demeester. You can check it out, as well as his online talk December 10th at unchained.com/2025. Okay, we'll be watching. See you next time.